In recent days, Poland has moved sharply to confront what it describes as an escalating campaign of covert aggression from Russia. An escalation that has pushed Warsaw to close Russia's last functioning consulate on Polish soil and deploy thousands of soldiers across key infrastructure sites. The trigger was a railway sabotage incident over the weekend, an explosion on the Warsaw-Lublin line that Polish authorities believe was carried out by two Ukrainian nationals acting under Russian direction. Although the blast caused no casualties thanks to a train driver who spotted the damaged rail gap in time, the incident shattered any sense of security around Poland's transport routes. It also intensified concerns about a pattern of sabotage, arson, cyber attacks, and infrastructure disruptions across Europe since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. For Poland, one of Kyiv's strongest allies and a critical logistics hub for the flow of weapons and humanitarian supplies into Ukraine, the idea of Russian-backed operatives targeting its transport network is not just an isolated threat, but a direct challenge to national security. Poland's Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski responded with language far more severe than in previous incidents, describing the railway blast as an act intended to cause loss of life and characterizing it as state terrorism orchestrated by Moscow. In announcing the closure of the Russian consulate in Gdansk, he noted that it was not the first such measure. Poland had previously closed consulates in Kraków and Poznan, following earlier acts of sabotage attributed to Russian networks. But this closure carries symbolic weight. It leaves only the Russian embassy in Warsaw operational, underscoring the deterioration of Polish-Russian relations to a point where diplomatic presence is being reduced to the bare minimum. Moscow reacted predictably, accusing Poland of Russophobia and threatening reciprocal measures to restrict Poland's consular presence in Russia. Yet, behind the political statements is a broader strategic contest, with Poland positioning itself as uncompromising in the face of what it sees as hybrid warfare targeting its infrastructure and stability. The railway sabotage itself forms part of a wider pattern observed not just in Poland, but across multiple European states. Intelligence assessments from Poland, the Baltic countries, Germany, and the UK have consistently warned that Russia has been testing Europe's internal vulnerabilities through small-scale attacks designed to disrupt, confuse, or intimidate. The operatives involved are often one-time recruits, including foreign citizens contacted on messaging platforms such as Telegram and offered payment for tasks ranging from arson to vandalism to placing explosives. In the latest Polish attack, authorities said the two main suspects, identified as Ukrainians who had entered Poland from Belarus, were acting on instructions from Russian intelligence. A Polish prosecutor's office stated that arrest warrants in absentia were issued for sabotage conducted on November 15th and 16th, and that one of the suspects had reportedly been involved in similar operations inside Ukraine. Although neither man has been apprehended, Poland's security services announced that 4 additional individuals connected to the incident were detained this week. The response within the Polish government has been multi-layered, reflecting a sense that the country is entering a critical period of heightened vulnerability. Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz announced that up to 10,000 soldiers would be deployed nationwide to guard railways, power infrastructure, and other critical assets. This effort, referred to internally as Operation Horizon, aims not only to protect physical sites but also to project deterrence, signaling that sabotage attempts will be met with rapid and extensive security measures. The Polish Army Chief of Staff, General Wiesław Kukuła, warned that the long winter nights and the holiday season could present ideal conditions for adversaries seeking to conduct covert attacks. He emphasized the need to close any operational gaps, describing the coming months as a period in which Poland must prepare for a wide range of provocations. Alongside these measures, the state plans to launch a public reporting app allowing citizens to flag suspicious activity, a sign that the government expects future attempts and aims to expand surveillance beyond official channels. The political dimension of the crisis is equally significant. Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who returned to office with a strong pro-European and pro-security agenda, said he had spoken with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky immediately after the blast. Both leaders reportedly agreed to increase cooperation between intelligence services and railway authorities, emphasizing the need to track down collaborators and prevent further incidents. Zelensky was said to have assured Poland of Ukraine's support in sharing all relevant information and noted that the pattern of sabotage resembled the daily disruptions Ukraine experiences from Russian agents. For Warsaw, this communication served both practical and political purposes. It reinforced Poland's partnership with Kyiv while countering any narrative that Ukrainian citizens living or working in Poland might be collectively responsible for security threats. Authorities were careful to stress that the suspects were individuals recruited by Russia, not representatives of Ukraine. The broader European context adds another layer of urgency to Poland's response. The European Union's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas stated that the attack highlighted the vulnerability of Europe's rail network, a system essential for the rapid movement of military equipment, troops, and humanitarian supplies. Since the war in Ukraine escalated, rail lines in Eastern Europe have become logistical lifelines, with Poland forming the primary corridor between NATO states and Ukrainian territory. Any attack that disrupts these routes therefore carries implications beyond Poland's borders, potentially slowing or complicating the delivery of material to Ukrainian forces. European intelligence services have already been warning that Russia is testing the resilience of these networks, probing for weak points and attempting to spread fear or confusion. The sabotage near the town of Minsk Mazowiecki, which targeted a section of track on this critical supply line, fits into this wider assessment. Domestic politics in Poland also shape the urgency of the government's actions. Since 2022, the country has experienced multiple cases of suspected Russian-backed sabotage, including fires at shopping centers, disruptions at energy facilities, and cyber attacks on government institutions. While these incidents have varied in scale, they collectively influence Polish public opinion, which has become increasingly alert to the possibility of covert Russian operations. By closing the last Russian consulate, tightening diplomatic movement within the Schengen zone, and deploying troops around the country, the government is signaling both competence and resolve. Foreign Minister Sikorski said he would push EU partners to restrict the travel of Russian diplomats within Europe, indicating that Warsaw sees the threat not as an isolated domestic issue, but as a continental challenge requiring unified action. Whether other European nations will support such tightening remains to be seen, but Poland appears determined to push the debate forward. Ultimately, the railway sabotage incident marks another chapter in the evolving landscape of European security, where traditional warfare overlaps with covert operations, digital attacks, and targeted disruptions of critical infrastructure. For Poland, the stakes are particularly high. Its geographic position, its role in supporting Ukraine, and its tense history with Russia make it both a frontline state and a symbolic target. The decisions to close consulates, mobilize military forces, and strengthen cooperation with Ukraine reflect a broader strategy to harden the country against hybrid threats while maintaining political unity at home and with European allies. As winter approaches, a season historically associated with increased strategic activity in Eastern Europe, Polish officials warn that vigilance will be essential. The country now stands preparing not only for potential future attempts at sabotage, but for a long-term contest in which securing infrastructure, deterring covert attacks, and maintaining political cohesion will be critical to national stability.